the way he squeezed the 6-letter word hammer into 4 previously. Last minute changed it. And you know what? RaceBot was ticking down at the time. So it was a high priority for him.
Indeed, we are up. I did not get a chance to see what was in Link's chest, unfortunately, so...
Yeah, I think I was too distracted by Kevin's screen being extremely delayed. Sometimes Twitch is a funny thing sometimes, especially based off of location. We'll do our best to get the runners synced up.
Oh yeah, Fiesel knows what he's doing. He'll get it fixed up here shortly. Mikan now pulling the tree over there by Uncle. Get some bombs for his troubles. Good thing to start off with. Get some early bombs. So let's see what Uncle has for him.
Oh, we'll see in a moment. Here's that sync we were talking about. Bombs on the tree is super good early on. There's a bunch of cracked walls you're looking to blow open, and you start with 0 bombs, so sometimes you don't get them from the few items between you and those first cracked walls, so finding them off the tree is a pretty big deal.
They are pretty much in sync heading to Uncle. So that should be interesting, and they both get $20 for it.
Rupees also important early, mostly to purchase the bombs if you don't have them. 4 is enough to get them going, but they're going to want a little more. So getting up above 50 rupees to buy more if necessary is pretty good. 150 rupees even better to talk to the bottle vendor, and who knows, Zora's all the way up at 500. Maybe you get lucky with the rupees. We'll see.
Indeed, piece of heart from the Sanctuary chest. Most likely our runners are going to be checking Lumberjack Cave into the forest. That's usually the route that a lot of runners take. Get that knowledge early on.
Absolutely. You want to know if this is an Aghanim seed, you're going to want to know early on, because you're not going to end up, you're not going to do Aghanim on a lark or anything. You're only going to go there if you know you have to. And so knowing if you have to early on, and that allows you to work it into your routing and can really make a difference.
Yeah. Both runners getting another tree pull, getting some more bombs. So they are now set to go. That's going to save them a little bit of money. And big bomb drop from the hoarder.
Wow. The seed is just explosive off the bat.
Got enough bombs here to start a Michael Bay movie, as I like to say. And looks like some Mountain Dew sitting there on the ledge. I don't think we're going to be seeing an Aghanim seed. That's not something our runners would prioritize for that.
Yeah, probably not for the green goo. I mean, maybe there's some insane sick kid has a progression item and all other bottles are locked behind it. But there's also the possibility that just the Dark World portal for defeating Aghanim is required, particularly if that hammer is somewhere you really don't want it to be.
Oh yeah, but the odds are very slim. Let's be fair here. So I don't see it happening. Let's see. We got piece of heart in the mushroom spot and another piece of heart. Okay, a lot of love starting this seed off.
Yeah, that's a full heart container for the players, up to 4 now.
All right, and I see some fans. There's some chat. Some members of the chat are fans of our runners, but don't quite know what's going on here. To answer your question, Trojan, what this is that this is the Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, obviously the classic game, but all of the items have been randomly moved around from their original locations, so they could be anywhere. Incentivizing our players to check chests that you normally wouldn't check. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. And yeah, they're mythical here. Giving you some info there in the chat. So as we check Blind's Hut. Let's see what we find here.
Lots of items to be checked here. Just rupees so far, but that's enough for bottle vendors, so pretty good news.
Oh, das Boots! What are those?
What are those? They let you dash, they let you go super fast in a speed run. Obviously, you're looking to find those early on, but then again, it's much harder to get around using the boots because you can crash into walls and all sorts of things. And the thing that really gets me is that canceling your movement, you can't do it with a D-pad input in the direction you're going. So there's a lot of attention that needs to be paid to getting around with these boots. And so if you're the kind of player who's a little weaker on execution, you maybe don't mind seeing those boots later on in a seed.
Sure, though it is interesting for me because the last few runs I've done, the boots have been one of the last items. Oh, silvers!
That's something you want to see, these super, super powerful silver arrows. You do need a bow to fire them, but when they find it, they're going to be very happy.
Mm-hmm. And also finding their first shield here in the well. So the well paying off pretty decently so far. But yeah, silver arrows, very nice to find. Let's see what the bottle vendor has. Just some love.
Getting the heart count up nice and early isn't too bad a thing. And shields, you might scoff at shields, but going from the level 1 shield to the level 2 that blocks the fireballs, actually I think comes in handy in a number of situations, especially against a boss fight like Blind. You gotta get the shields in order. You can't just find one of the better shields. The way the certain items work in this game, the gloves, the swords, the shields, the tunics, you will find them in progression from the next most powerful one. So if you want to get a good shield, you got to start with this not so good shield.
Exactly. It's one thing about the randomizer that I think really adds an extra bit of challenge, is that you can't just go grab. I remember the V18 logic, which is what they used previously. You could find the higher progression shields earlier, but now they've taken lamp on the library thing. It's a good thing they got those boots early.
Yeah, it's I was talking about if you're weaker in execution, you might not want to see those boots, but when you see an item like the lamp up on the bookcase there in the library, you certainly do want those boots. The lamp is very good. I mean, it opens up a bunch of locations in terms of where the logic will place items. The logic, the way the game places the items in the chests will never make you go through a room in the dark without the lantern. So that opens up a bunch of possibilities. Also makes those rooms just so much easier to traverse. And it's a source of fire, so you can light torches. There's lots of places where that is required to make progress.
Yeah, absolutely. So Mikan now heading to the Bonk Cave. Kevin heading over to the South Shore. Going to start over at the dam. We'll see what we find there. A lot of early, now we're starting to see some big route diversion. This is where we start to see whether or not certain gambles start to pay off.
Mikan just wants to go back and get a couple more hearts, top himself off. But you're right. There's a couple of places that are opened up at this point. Both players are drawn towards the mini Moldorm Cave. There's 5 locations to be checked there, 4 chests, and a very generous-looking shady character who knows where he got whatever item he gives you, but he'll give it to you. So 5 items there in mini Moldorm Cave. No sword, so they're going to have to rely on bombs in order to defeat the mini Moldorms, and that could be a little tricky, so we'll see how it goes.
Indeed, and we got a map check, and we saw blue pendant, I believe was at Hera, red pendant at Desert, or it could be either way, and a crystal at Eastern, so we'll probably be seeing that play before long.
That's right, even the locations of the pendants of power, courage, and wisdom, and the crystals have been randomized, so you never know. Ooh, Power Glove right away. That is a huge find.
The Power Glove, it's so bad. And red cane and blue mail. Wow, mini Moldorm Cave with a huge payout.
Yeah, so Power Glove is useful for lifting up rocks, and that is required on the way to get Titan's Mitts, which is a required item to finish the game, as well as opening up tons of locations, so it is a very, very, very good item to find early on. Blue mail makes you take less damage, which is just super good, but not required. And then the Cane of Samaria, only required for certain situations, though, because 2 pendants are in the light world, that means at least one of either Misery Mire or Turtle Rock is going to be a crystal, which means you need to do that dungeon, and both of those require the Cane of Samaria. So that is a required item that they found there, and moreover than that, they don't have a sword yet, so you can actually use the Cane of Samaria to fight. Normally it puts a block down, holds down switches. It's a really weird thing, but you can blow the block up, shoot a bunch of projectiles everywhere, and having something at least to fight with other than bombs is very handy early on.
Absolutely. Kevin now going to grab some rupees here from this thing, trying to get himself some Zora money, because Zora can sometimes have an item on him, so it's really good to have that ready on hand when you're going to go up that way. Yeah,
that was a really nice heads-up play there. Not many people lift up that rock and go inside for the 20 rupees or so that are inside, but when you're this close to 500 rupees, just topping yourself off there is actually a pretty smart play. So Kevin is going to be using the fake flippers technique here by screen transitioning the frame after you land in the water. You trick the game into thinking you have the flippers, and so he can swim here. Oh, does not want to get hit by that fireball. That will cause death.
That was very close there, absolutely. And something we should point out is that doing the fake flippers trick is what's considered a minor glitch, which is allowed in this tournament. Major glitches that allow you to go out of bounds or glitches that basically put you allow you to go through walls. Those are considered major glitches and can get you disqualified. So you want to be careful about that. But stuff like fake flippers or glitches involving pushing blocks are allowed. We got the back of escape now. Finding two big hearts there. That's always nice to find.
But is it going to be the amazing item that King Zora always has? Like, oh my god, the hook shot! Wow.
Whoa!
So with gloves, lamp, and hookshot, the east side of Death Mountain is now available. There's a lot of locations to check up there. This is a huge find for Kevin.
Indeed, and because they had the power glove, that is not a sequence break. So that is nice to find right this early on.
That's right, we were talking about the fake flippers glitch. The logic won't put anything anywhere where you have to do a minor glitch like fake flippers to get to it. So you might be thinking, well, he just did fake flippers to get there, but there is a route with the power glove to get up there. It was just a shortcut to save time. So this is definitely where I would go.
Absolutely. And Kevin now heading up to Death Mountain. Thankfully, with the lamp, this is on logic. So with that and the hook shot, he's got a lot of potential items to find up here. You know, you got the Old Man, you've got Spectacle Rock Cave, you've got the Paradox Cave with seven items total, and Spiral Cave. So there's a lot of potential here.
Yep, if the hammer or mirror is found, that also opens up the ability to get into Tower of Hera. There's some things there they might want to check. It's not a crystal, so not a high priority, but we'll see. As Mikan is heading up Death Mountain without the hookshot, did not go to King Zora, not going to be able to check the east side of the mountain, and that is where most of the items are.
Exactly, so Kevin's going to have a distinct advantage going here. But yeah, absolutely. All of these different items, just so much potential. That's the beauty of this randomizer, is that you don't know where anything is going to be, so it's more about figuring out what items you find and where is it sending you. And you mentioned earlier about pendant dungeons not always being a priority, but with version 26 logic, it's very often pendant dungeons can become a priority because a lot of times it sneaks items there so that you have to go there.
Yeah, I might be wrong, but I think this version of the logic actually has something included in there to add weight to the items found in dungeons. I don't know if it's actually like an intentionally programmed that way, or if that's just like a byproduct of the way things have shaken out. But definitely, a lot of players will opt to go into dungeons rather than check overworld locations when they're looking for items.
Indeed, Kevin finding Bombos and Moon Pearl. Paradox Cave paying off again.
Kevin is off to a flying start here with Moon Pearl and gloves. They're just one item away. Either an upgrade of the gloves to Titans or the hammer will open up the Dark World and a ton more locations to check. So things are looking great for Kevin, and for Mikan, might be spinning his wheels a little bit here until he heads up to Zora.
It's looking that way. Yeah, like I said, Kevin's got the he's got the early advantage thus far, which is really paying off for him.
Mikan going to his shop to purchase some bombs, refill there. Looks like Mikan is going to be heading up to check some places we haven't seen before. Over at Eastern Palace, you got Sahasrarla's hut with 3 items there. Eastern Palace is a crystal, but can't be finished without the bow. But there's a lot of items you can check inside Eastern, even without the bow.
Indeed, Kevin checked the floating island, only finding 10 arrows up there, so that won't be in play here. But let's see what Sarasal is hiding in his closet here. There's our fighter sword and flippers.
All right, flippers are a good find. The fake flippers glitch does exist, but having the flippers will, it makes it easier for one, but also there are certain places where you just can't do the fake flippers glitch, notably Swamp Palace, which is very, very likely a crystal, and in that case, the flippers are a required item.
Indeed, so already we're seeing some gambles paying off on both sides, which is really nice. Kevin now heading over to do the back ends of Escape, Zelda's dungeon, and of course the back end, all of them accessible right now. So this is going to be really interesting to see what we find hiding in here.
As Mikan heads into Eastern, would need to get pretty lucky to find the bow in order to finish the dungeon in this one trip. So odds are Mikan is going to have to do a double dip into this dungeon, but who knows? We'll see. The other thing Mikan found in the Sahasrarla's hut was, of course, a sword. It's easy to take swords for granted. They do actually open up some items in addition to just letting you fight things. There are certain curtains that you need a sword to cut, and Master Sword will get you into through Aghanim's barrier, and it is needed to hit Ganon. So if you want to beat the game, you're going to need a Master Sword.
Yeah. And Kevin, because he does not have a sword, even though he could have used bomb. Oh no, he's out of bombs. So he was out of bombs, doesn't have a sword, couldn't fight the guard, so he had to give up on continuing on in the escape. So that's going to come back to haunt him. Big key for Mikan. That's going to be nice to find early on.
Yeah, so Kevin was doing pretty much everything right up to that point, but a mistake there due to the lack of anything to fight guards with. Also lack of magic, so unable to use that Cane of Samaria. Going to be using that rupee money that Kevin got up on Death Mountain to buy a potion for safety. But yeah, now Kevin has to think a little bit and is thinking the same thing as Mikan, it looks like.
Understandable at this point. Hopefully he will get a payoff with a sword. Ice Rod in Eastern Palace. That's nice to find early. Ice Rod is an item that is very, very trolly when it wants to be, because the only place it cannot be is on Trinax and Turtle Rock. It can be anywhere else. So finding that now is a nice relief for our runners, I'm sure.
Unless it turns out Turtle Rock is a pendant, and then you don't actually need to go there, and you don't need the rod at all. But with 2 pendants in the light world, very likely the Ice Rod is going to be required. And even though it doesn't do much for them now, like you said, very important to have ticked that item off the list. Still no magic for either player, though. Ice Rod, another option to actually fight things with. A little easier to use, perhaps, than the Cane of Samaria. Also enables some really cool things, like you can freeze a guard and throw him into another guard to damage him. That's really, really fun.
Yep, and finding Red Meringue there in the Vanilla Big Key Hut. And as chat points out, another thing about the randomizer logic, it is designed so that you can, it will always make sure you can 100% complete the game regardless of where the items are located, because it will never put items in places that you cannot reach. So keys, you'll always be able to find the amount of keys you need. You'll always be able to find the big key before you need it. It's just a matter of where in the dungeon is it. So you never have to worry about getting soft locked like that if you're playing everything correctly.
Yeah, there are some dungeons where it's actually pretty easy for a player who is determined to screw themselves over to actually do so. And so there are a lot of checks that are in the logic to make sure it won't happen. And that's the reason why in a dungeon like Palace of Darkness, a lot of the first few chests that you find are going to contain small keys to make sure that you can't lock yourself out.
Exactly. And Mikan getting a piece of heart from the hobo. So I don't think Kevin picked that up earlier. So let's see what else he finds there as Kevin makes his way through Eastern Palace. Now, because they don't have the bow, they cannot full clear it just yet, but they can at least get all the items ahead of time. And we know that, with Ice Rod and Red Meringue, that's a nice find to find.
So Kevin's got the Ice Rod as Mikan has continued the flipper journey from Hobo to Zora, and we know this is big. Zora's holding the hook shot.
Oh! Magic cape and hammer in the Waterfall of Wishing. That is huge. Kevin did not get a chance to check that earlier because he had to fake flipper to get here. So Mikan now making the lucky play and getting a huge advantage here.
Yeah, you can fake flipper in there, but I don't think you can continue without the Moon Pearl. I forget the way the interaction works with the water walking there. Yeah,
the way it works is if you have the Moon Pearl, you can walk in and out of the cave and the waterfall to activate the water walking glitch. That's how I've seen every runner do it. So, but you have to have the Moon Pearl for that. But Mikan now, with that and the hook shot, just got a distinct advantage here. He's now taking a slight lead here because he could go back up to Death Mountain, which is exactly where he's going. And he's going to find everything that's found there as well.
So this was a huge advantage for Kevin, having gone to Zora early and up to Death Mountain and had all these items. But now Mikan, not only about to pick up all those items, but to have an advantage of their own in that trip to Waterfall Cave. And Kevin, having done Zora, it makes it not very appealing to go back up there. So this hammer, this incredibly important hammer that opens up the Dark World, that opens up lots of places around the Dark World, and is also just a pretty good substitute for a tempered sword. Well, as I say all of this, it looks like Kevin might actually be heading.
He's heading up to Hobo. He's heading to Hobo, but I don't know if he'll head back up to the waterfall. If he does, then we'll be seeing some tying back up. But yeah, this is really incredible for Mikan. And yeah, the hammer is one of those few items that's pretty much guaranteed to be required no matter what your seed is. So having that now is going to open up a lot of potential for Mikan, and so that's a big find.
Yeah, I don't think there's another item quite like the hammer, where it's not strictly required for any of the things that you know you're going to need to do to beat the game, but there are just so many things around it that it does end up being required. I think there's more than 3 dungeons where the hammer is required to finish it, and that means no matter where the pendants are, one of them's going to be a crystal, and the hammer is going to be required.
Exactly. Mikan now finishing up Paradox Cave, getting his Moon Pearl. Very, very nicely done there. Let's see. Oh, Kevin is heading back up, so he is going to get his cape and hammer soon. He's going to be happy to find that now.
Now, am I wrong, or is this hammer actually called the Magic Hammer in the game?
I believe it is, actually.
So he's about to find his cape and magic hammer. Good stuff. I love it. All right. Players have caught back up. They've checked a lot of the same locations now at this point. Though Mikan's routing took him to Death Mountain later. And so with that hammer, Mikan's able to keep going over to the left side and is now going into Tower of Hera.
Yep, absolutely. Finds the big key early, which is nice. It means he doesn't have to worry too much about doing best basement just yet. So he's going to make sure he checks the back chest and then heads up. Because that basement is one that a lot of runners like to avoid unless they feel like they needed to get a bathroom break.
Well, I guess Thor's pretty good. I was thinking Looney Tunes.
I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah, I just realized like the cape and the hammer like don't really quite line up with the spear and helmet. But just something, I guess this number of syllables and the cadence worked out. I'm glad that played for at least someone, as Kevin is heading into Escape, and Mikan is looking to do as much of Hera as the item layout will demand. It's a pendant dungeon, so you don't want to finish it if you don't have to. Although there is, of course, the very slim chance that an item on the pedestal where the Master Sword usually lies, and if there is an item there, then with boots and hookshot, yep, going to be able to just hookshot straight over the big chest. If there is an item on the pedestal, then you do want to have all 3 pendants, but very slim, so players probably won't kill Moldarm unless they have to.
Plus, the boss might be holding an item, which in this case it looks like he does, because they've already got the map and compass, so he's going to have to fight Trolldorm. Yes, folks, I know he's called Moldorm. We call him Trolldorm for a reason. If you've played this game, you know exactly why.
Yep, we've got the hammer, which thankfully does tempered sword damage to Moldorm and is one of the only other things he's weak to other than the sword. Otherwise, we would have had a pretty drawn-out fight, but Mikan's going to be able to 3-shot him. Just needs to land this last hit, and this one, yep, served it up on a silver platter there.
Yeah, and Kevin finishing up Escape, didn't find anything there. Oh, Master Sword for Mikan. That's always nice.
Good stuff for Mikan. Things have swung the other way. Kevin, not too far behind, but without, well, I don't know. Found the Master Sword, could find a different sword upgrade somewhere else, so I wouldn't say, Mikan's got a big lead or anything. I would give him an edge, but I think it's still pretty close.
This is still very early on. Now, Mikan, since we didn't find all the items, he is going to have to do the basement of Tower of Hera. Again, this is never a fun thing to do, but if you know your strats, you can use this as a chance to take a breather, because there's a trick where you can activate the switch while you're standing on the blue pegs with like an arrow or a sword beam or anything of that sort, and it will make you invincible to the tiles. But it looks like he's not going to go that route. He's going to take the long way around. He's going to dodge them.
Yep, it does have full hearts and the Master Sword fresh off of Moldorm, so could use those sword beams. Save himself a bit of a break. While Kevin, with a bottle, a recent find for the players since their first visit to Kakariko, means that Kevin can now go to the Sick Kid, but Sikid only has a piece of heart. Now here we're seeing with the gloves, hammer, and moon pearl that the players have, we're finally gonna be. Ooh, wow!
Ooh, Titans mitts. So Hera required.
And now suddenly, Mikan, having done items in a different order, having being led to the Tower of Hera, suddenly now we see this actually is a big advantage for Mikan.
This is what I said before, folks. Even if it's a pendant dungeon, you sometimes want to check it because they could have the items you're looking for. And that's a big payoff. Map check from Kevin. I saw green pendant at Thieves Town. That seems to be a common thing. I've been seeing that a lot more often lately, where Thieves Town seems to be green pendant.
I know what you mean, and in this case, it's really not what you wanted to see. Thieves Town's a very lucrative dungeon. It's done very quickly, has a lot of items in it, doesn't require a lot of items to be completed. So more, you really would rather see it be a crystal, and then you can go in there, finish everything, and have that done. But now if it's a pendant, it's not necessarily required, and going in there for all those good reasons is countered by this bad reason that maybe you don't have to go in there at all.
True, but to counterbalance that, it is the green pendant, which gives you some incentive because, you could always turn that into Sahasala, and he may have an item. So it's definitely not going to completely scare them away from it, but it definitely does make you second guess that idea.
It looks like Kevin is navigating up to the Sea House, has made a loop around Thieves Town. Could totally still head around or turn around and go back in. And honestly, in this situation, I think it's very well might be the best play.
Indeed. Mikan now heading to Dark Death Mountain. Thankfully, he's got that moon pearl, so he's going to, though with his current sprite, he still is a bunny.
Oh yeah, I thought it would make him regular Link inside the Dark World, but oh well.
He has a moon pearl, so I think that's what it is. But in this case, we'll never know.
So Kevin into Thieves Town, but you're right, Mikan getting the Titans while still on Death Mountain means that he is able to route directly into Dark World Death Mountain now, and so the efficiency. Oh, and the fire rod!
Fire rod! Oh no! Mikan making all the good plays right now. It seems.
Yeah, the efficiency of this routing that Mikan has done on Death Mountain, I think, is going to be able to pretty much completely clear out Death Mountain, except for, I guess, Turtle Rock. But this is very efficient the way things are working out for Mikan, and I definitely give him a big edge in this situation.
Indeed. And also, we did see Kevin pick up the mushroom from Thieves Town a little bit ago. We didn't get a chance to comment on that, but I did see it. So we'll see. And there's Red Nail, so he is now geared and ready to go. Yeah, the Mikan just getting lucky on all the plays here. This is really paying off for him, and that's going to make it so much easier to get through the rest of this seed.
The mushroom that Kevin has is the only advantage over Mikan, and it's a rather ambiguous one. The mushroom can be turned in at the witch's hut for one item, and they don't have a flute yet, so it's a bit out of the way to go over there, especially with a lot of the the Waterfall and Zora and stuff already checked. So I don't know when we'll see that mushroom get turned in. Could be nothing, could be something really good. Who knows?
Also, we should say that we did also confirm through another map check on Mikan's side, Crystal 5 at Ice Palace, Crystal 6 at Swamp Palace. Oh, those are two dungeons you don't like doing, and that just makes it especially more painful.
Yeah, Ice Palace, I think, being the big one. That's a dungeon that is. It's very fast if you're doing it in Go mode. You're not checking any items, and you have everything you need. Which I guess it shares that same property with Swamp. But if you want to check out all the items, the dungeons are kind of divided into two halves, and it makes getting around and checking all the items inside them very slow.
Yep, you can't checking King's Tomb, only finding a piece of heart in there. So it's still anyone's race, but right now Mikan definitely making all the right calls. We'll see how that continues to play out as Kevin set up the hole for blind. So we can get that boss fight. Mikan now turning in his bottle over to the sick kid, so he's going to get his piece of heart.
As if they didn't have enough of those already.
Yeah, he's pretty solid on health as Mikan, but every little bit helps.
Kevin's going to be getting another look at some more locations here in Thieves Town.
Yep. Thankfully, he does have the hammer, so he can check the big chest while he's here. And if that has an item, that's going to pay off, but we'll see. As he rescues this. Yep, there's the key. So now he's got when he needs to check that big chest. So more than likely, if he doesn't, if I don't know if he got the map and compass yet. I know he's got one of them at least.
So it could be here, could be at blind, and that, I mean, even if he does get the last item in this chest, which he does not, so he's definitely going to do blind now, but even if there was an item in there, you might want to finish the dungeon just for the green pendant, because you get an extra item from Sahasrahla if you decide to go all the way over there and turn it in.
Mikan getting Tempered Sword and Skull Wood, so he's well on his way weapon-wise. That's a very nice payoff there.
Yeah, that is good. You don't want to have to... Well, he's got the Fire Rod. That's a pretty good weapon against Mothula. But trying to hit Mothula with the hammer really sucks. So having that sword upgrade is going to help out a lot there. As we get a blind fight from Kevin. If you do the same things, blind is going to do the same thing. But already blind's gotten a little away from him. So the kind of off the script here. Going to be improvising the rest of this fight and doing a really good job so far.
Indeed. It does not matter what sword you have. It's 9 hits guaranteed. The only advantage with having a better sword is a slight range increase. But Kevin didn't handle it with just the fighter sword and gets 10 arrows for his trouble. So that was a bust. Hopefully the green pendant makes up for it.
Yeah, we could be seeing a green pendant turn in if the players find the bow and the mirror, and then they want to head over to Palace of Darkness. Then we could finally see what this green pendant is, but otherwise I don't know if Kevin's going to go all the way over there to turn it in anytime soon, not with the places left to check here in the Dark World and elsewhere, like Skull Woods.
Indeed, Skull Woods definitely showing to be the bigger payoff. He's going to be at least getting Master Sword from that, but Mikan is now heading into the back end because he's got the ability to enter that and take on Mothula.
This is also another advantage for Mikan. I mean, we just saw Kevin having to walk up to that big dark rock and not being able to lift it because he doesn't have the Titan's bits yet. Just one example of what Mikan has going for him over Kevin. In addition to that, Mikan found the Fire Rod up on Death Mountain, and that means that he's going to be able to actually finish this dungeon in one go, whereas Kevin's going to have to double dip. So things are not looking good for Kevin.
Oh, they are not, though. Mikan did have a little bit of trouble there in the jellyfish room. So that gave him a little bit of trouble, but he's now walking right on through. He'll be taking on Mothula here shortly.
Kevin doing some pretty good travel with the hook shot. If you don't have the boots, the hook shot is a really good way to speed up your movement. Whenever you see something that you can actually hook shot onto, but it's a pretty obscure, so I think it's the mark of a fairly experienced player if you ever see them using that hook shot to get around faster.
So Mikan taking on Mothula now. Of course, you want to be careful to keep him away from the spikes. Very quick fight.
That was fantastic. Like you said, hitting Mothula into the spikes you'd think would hurt the moth a whole lot, right? You double whammy, but the game doesn't want you to, auto kill the boss by hitting them into all these spikes. So they said, spikes do 0 damage to this boss. And also, whatever damage you did, the spike damage is going to overwrite it. So if you hit the boss into the spikes, no damage is dealt at all. And it can sometimes make this fight go on forever, especially when Mothula just won't get away from the spikes. So the fact that Mikan just had 4 clean hits, 1, 2, 3, 4, fantastic fight.
Indeed. Kevin went to go check the big chest, forgot he didn't have the big key. So he's jumping on out of there.
One more thing not going right. Going up to Death Mountain here, so this could be a hair play. It's going to be without the mirror, you can't just go up quickly around the left side, so we're going to have to use the hook shot, go all the way up the right, and come back around. This is another example of just disadvantageous it was for the way Kevin's routing turned out. But then again, he's going up here, so maybe never actually checked here in Spectacle Rock yet.
No, I don't think we've seen it, but it doesn't look like it paid off. Only a full heart container on the inside the cave, 10 arrows on Spectacle Rock itself, so not quite what they were hoping for.
Has the magic cape hammer, so we're going to be seeing Spike Cave here from Kevin. This is an incredibly out-of-the-way place that I'm not sure even Mikan checked while he was there on Death Mountain. So if there's something here, this could be huge for Kevin.
We shall see, but Mikan going to check the rest of Village of Outcasts. Not going to find too much here, unfortunately, but still nice to have that stuff knocked out of the way.
Magic is draining pretty quick, but Kevin is going to make it safely over to the chest, and it's just 5 rupees.
Oh, that's always humiliating to go through all that trouble and not even getting 20, only getting 5.
At least it wasn't 1. There's a couple of those waiting to be found in the game. Mikan's going to be heading into Thieves Town. We'll see how much of it he completes. He's going to be following the same route, going to be opening that big chest and see that Blind has an item, so I'm pretty sure Mikan will be making the same decision to finish it as Kevin. It's just a question of who turns in the green pendant first afterwards.
Indeed. Kevin now finally going on the east side Death Mountain with that hook shot, probably, like you said, heading up the Tower of Hera. So definitely the right play considering what we know, but the fact that it was a pendant dungeon probably kept him away from it for too long.
Yeah, and just look how much time it takes. All these screen transitions to go all the way to the right side of Death Mountain, up Death Mountain, over to the left. This really sucks that Kevin wasn't able to do this the first time he was up here. But for now, both players going to be doing dungeons that the other is already done, so no new things to be revealed for the next little while.
This is usually where I like to do this. I like to take the opportunity to remind you folks, if you guys are enjoying these runners so far, please be sure to give them a follow on Twitch, both Mikan and Kevin Cabarello. And of course, to our tracker, Duberson, and of course, myself and my co-commentator, Mythical9. Make sure you give us a follow. All of us really cool people to make this work.
The bot is denying us our own follows. And the tracker, I suppose. Mr. Bot. Alright, I don't know what happened to it. It's fallen asleep, but my stream is at least as it appears on screen. The Shades has an AT at the end if you want to find the Shades' stream. And Duberson, I'll go ahead and type it out. But that's who's bringing you this race today. But of course, don't forget the players are here working hard. And even though they're 03, 04, remember that this is the main tournament. If you get into this thing, you gotta remember that you made it ahead of the other 150 or so people who entered into this tournament. So you're already better than half. It's everyone in this tournament is pretty good at the random.
Absolutely. I mean, if you like watching these streams, there's plenty to go around. We have 8 channels of potential randomizer action. We've got Speed Gaming 1 through 4, and we have Randomizer Mania 1 through 4 hosting our secondary tournament. So even if some of our runners couldn't make the big one, they can do that secondary tournament, which is just as exciting at times. So definitely do not miss out on that.
And there's so many good players that actually some good ones did end up in the secondary tournament. So, you're going to see an 8-hour match every now and then between some newer players. But you're going to see some stuff that's pretty much on the same level as what you're seeing today and throughout the main tournament. So definitely don't neglect to give the Randomizer Mania channels a follow. They don't just do a Link to the Past. Pretty sure they're doing randomizers of all sorts and kinds, and it can be fun to check out what other games are like when they get randomized.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even if it's not randomized, Speed Gating has also some speedrun races of other kinds. They've got an Earthbound Boogie Percent run where they go up to the Boogie Tent and take that, and that's the end of their race. They've got a couple other games as well. They've got the Race for the Record where they try to break the world record for a particular game. So yeah, if you're into speed races, this is definitely the channel to watch. I'm personally a big fan of speedrun races in general. So these have been some of my favorite channels to follow. So I would suggest if you're into that kind of thing, you do the same.
Kevin Cabarello had a bit of a decision to make whether or not to go to the basement for the last item. And we know it is the correct decision to make in this situation. I think it's probably the right thing to do in any situation. And going to be happily rewarded with the Titan's Mitts as Mikan finishes up a fairly well-executed blind fight and earns that green pendant.
Indeed. And while we're here, I also want to give a shout-out to It's Xcore, who just gave us a Twitch Prime sub. Thank you, sir. Your generosity is appreciated.
Oh, yeah, I want to do that more often. I have Hex Chat loaded up, but it doesn't give me the prompts or when people do that, so I actually am going to go ahead and load up the mainstream, have that chat there.
Yeah. Well, you can also notice that when Fiesel's running one of these streams, it actually shows up at the top of the screen when someone's subbed, so that's why that's another thing that caught my eye.
No way, he actually implemented those. I've been
Yeah.
telling him we should do it. Oh, I'm happy about that.
It's only a simple link with a couple of like the high fives in the chat up there, but it's still just that little tiny notification is always nice to see. So Mikan now heading over to the digging game, and we'll see how many digs it takes and what item he finds. I've seen races where it takes like up to 30 digs to finally find something, and I've seen one race where it literally was the first dig.
Yep, it used to be locked at 15. At the first go at the randomizer, they implemented all these interesting new randomized things in the game, but then they also looked at some of the randomness in the game that sucks, and they took it out. So things like the number of blue balls you get at Aghanim, the number of digs required for the digging game. Yeah, they said screw that. And then they realized, let's put the randomness back in, but let's make it set for each seed so that it's equal for both players. If Kevin does head over to the digging game, Kevin's going to have to make the same fairly high number of digs in order to receive the item.
Indeed. Mikan now going to take the Frogsmith on a world tour because he does not have the mirror, but he's at least going to stop over and do the peg cave. Because some people probably don't even realize that if you knock down all these pegs with the hammer, it opens up the trunk there into a cave. So it's nice to get that check in there as well for an item. But he will have to go the long way around to drop the smith off because he does not have the mirror to do it right there.
Yeah, with the mirror, you can check a number of locations all in one fell swoop, but without it, you're going to have to make a pretty complicated and much less efficient route to check all these things. So we'll see where Mikan goes next with this frog in tow. We'll eventually have to save and quit because that will bring you back to the light world, and that is how you can turn in the Dwarven Blacksmith without the mirror, but doesn't want to do it right away, wants to do some more things in the dark world while we're here.
Makes sense. At least gives him, that way he can just knock it out and make sure he gets everything in check. Check old Stumpy gets a heart container for that. He's going to be definitely good on health for this run, that's for sure.
Yep, 13's already pretty good, and there's still a lot of Zelda left to play. Kevin is headed to Hookshot Cave and has found the Fire Rod. Definitely expected Kevin to make this play after finding the Titan's Mitts. Would have been pretty bad if for some reason he decided not to, but he did. Nothing to worry about.
Yeah, Mikan now heading over to the Hype Cave. Will it be hype today? Because V26 has not been favorable to the Hype Cave, and considering what they already have, I'd be surprised if we find anything that big here. But let's see if we get it. Hold your hype until we get something. Let's see, we got 20 rupees from the thief, and we get piece of heart, bloomerang, another piece of heart, and the Cane of Burna. Not super hype, but not complete trash either.
Yeah, there's at least something. The bloomerang and the blue cane are a pair of blue, very niche items. There are situations where you'll be glad you have them, but neither of these players, I think, are going to find themselves in either of those situations. So probably not too much going on for them there in Hype Cave. But like you said, the expectations are pretty high at this point. There's the bow. We know Quake, but maybe Ether could be required. The flute is still out there somewhere, and the mirror is a pretty good thing to have, especially because Swamp is a crystal, so mirror is required. A couple of things that could have been in there, but nothing.
Mikan checking the pyramid, finding the fire shield, but opting not to pick it up. So I guess he's pretty good. Given what he's got, I can understand him being comfortable not using it.
I like that fire shield. I would probably go out of my way to get it, but better players are able to do without. Kevin's doing some of the same things here that Mikan is. Doesn't have a frog in tow, is kind of coming at it from the other direction. We'll see how this routing works out for the two players. It's a good thing this frog knows how to dash.
Yeah, no kidding. So Mikan now got to check the catfish. So let's see if our Quake fish here gives us something good. Come on, give us some fun here. What do we got? And it is validation arrow, but he is skipping it, so his run is no longer valid. Jokingly,
of course. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's only one single arrow item in the prize pool, so as rare as any other item, even more rare than something like one of the gloves, because there's two of those that kind of count for the same thing. Kevin bombing the digging game guy not quite happy with the way that went, I guess.
Yeah, he tried to bomb it anyway, but yeah, that's why we jokingly call that single arrow the validation arrow, because if you pick that up, we say that you validated your run. But Mikan now finally turning in the swordsmith. Let's see if this pays off for him.
Kevin also has the frog in tow and is heading that way. I think we're going to see the pegs, but then doesn't have the mirrors, so not going to be able...
Oh, we got literacy! Oh, this opens up a few places.
Yeah, the Dwarven Booksmiths have bestowed the Book of Mudora upon Mikan, and that means can now check some tablets, one up on Death Mountain. Doesn't have the mirror. Well, it'd be a long ways to get all the way up to Death Mountain to check that, because they don't have the mirrors. Can't take the shortcut. Also, without the mirror, can't check Bombo's tablet at all. Can check the pedestal, and can get into Desert Palace, which is a pendant, so not the most appealing option, but it's nice to have this in the back pocket.
Absolutely. And we still have the potential for a pedestal seed here, because Desert Palace does not need the bow. So if they decide, if it could be bow on pedestal, that would be interesting if that happens, but we'll see. The dream is not dead, but it's very slim. Let's be fair here.
Could also be mirror on pedestal. I think bow's a little more trolly, but yeah, there are some options for that pedestal item. Normally it's the Master Sword. You need all 3 pendants to pull it, and it's a big thing, but in this randomizer, it's any old item, the same as any other chest in the game. And the odds that it has something required are very slim. And that's why we love so much when it does happen. Players don't like it so much, so for their sake, we're hoping it's not, but for ours, absolutely.
We'll see how that plays out, where they go. And it looks like Mikan heading over to Desert. Oh, no, wait, where's he going? Oh, did he? No, he went... Oh, where...
No, has the flippers, and Titans, and Fire Rod.
So he's probably thinking Ice Palace.
Yep. This is a completable dungeon, and it is a crystal, and it's a crystal 6 or 5, I can't remember which one, but it's an important crystal, so it has to get done eventually, and it's looking less and less like the players are going to be in go mode anytime soon. So if you're in go mode, that means you have everything, or you know at least where everything is, in order to get all the crystals, defeat Ganon, and beat the game. So you're less concerned about finding items, and more concerned about just beating the game, and that means you're going to be playing through the dungeons very differently. You're not going to be routing to rooms that only have treasure chests in them. You're going to be looking for whatever you need to get to the boss and go. And in Ice Palace, it means you can do it in one clean swoop. There's a big half of the dungeon. You don't have to check at all. So if possible, you want to be doing the dungeon in go mode. But if you're pretty sure you're not going to be in go mode anytime soon, and you do know you have to complete Ice Palace eventually, and you know there's 3 items in Ice Palace? I can't remember, but they're, what you're looking for could be in here. You need to do it anyway. So it's going to take a while, but we're going to do the slow full clear of Ice Palace.
Yeah, absolutely. But Ice Palace has been known to pay off big. I was commenting around earlier where they found 3 big items in Ice Palace, so it's definitely not a bad idea to check it if you need to. So
wow,
we'll see what we find. Yeah, they had the hammer, the lamp, and their Cane of Samario in Ice Palace.
Oh, that is monstrous. Sucks for Mikan there. Accidentally didn't quite put the bomb close enough to hit the switch and blow open the wall. Nice little double there. Kevin doing Agonist Cave. I don't think either player has gone out to Desert to check this yet.
Yeah, so this could lead him in the right direction. If this this could be big. Let's see if this pays off for him. And again, he can clear off, deciding to blow a bag along the way just for its and giggles.
And turns out it was for good reason. Nothing good there. Mikan opted to put the pegs down here. You can see in this room that Mikan just hook-shot it across. There are some orange pegs. So you can leave those pegs up and do a very clever bomb jump to get around them. And in that case, later on in the dungeon, you have instant access to push a block down, and that's what holds down a switch and lets you do Ice Palace. Also, it changes the way you can get around the dungeon in that room, because the other pegs kind of block your way. So had an option to do that, but Mikan knowing gonna have to full clear, is opting not to do the bomb jump, and I'm pretty sure this is the way to go in this situation.
Indeed. Finds a bee in the bottle there. So still got a couple more items to check.
That room right there, you can see the orange pegs are down, allowing Mikan to travel over to the right. Going to be heading to this side of the palace to look for items as Kevin is into Desert Palace. This is one of the things the book opened up. It's a pendant in here, so, and also not a lot of items, but it's also a pretty quick check. So this isn't necessarily a bad play here.
No, and if he thinks that if he may suspect that something's on the pedestal, so he may be going to go ahead and knock that out. You know, desert's not hard to full clear, and may decide to go ahead and do a blind pedestal pull.
Was able to get the small key on the torch. You need the boots in order to knock that key down. So sometimes players who are unlucky to find a seed where they don't get the boots early on, that can be a big thing in Desert Palace. What is on that torch? What will the boots be required to get it down or not? In this case it is, but those boots were found super early, so it's not any problem as Kevin continues making progress through Desert Palace. He's finding dungeon items, hasn't found what else Desert has in store for him just yet.
Nope. But he's got the big key, so he's going to check the big chest. If the big chest has an item, then Landmolus may not be as tempting. But if it has the compass, he might be more inclined to full clear it, just so he can see what that last item is. Let's see. What do we got? It is Red Rupee. And yeah, he is noping on out of there. He's like, nah, it's not worth it yet.
Yeah, you would have to feel like you were very behind in order to, or just very stuck in order to think like, you know what, just in case it's on the pedestal, I'm going to go ahead and do a whole bunch of rooms and a boss just for that pendant.
It might be more worth it to actually check the pedestal first to see if it's worth going out of your way to get it.
Yeah, that could be what Kevin's thinking. I mean, this is a very good Dark World portal, so it could just be heading to a Dark World location, and looks like that's the case.
Yeah, that's where he's going. So pedestal hype, not yet.
Oh, Mikan moving very well through that icy floor room. I've never seen that strat before, where you just use the boots to cancel momentum and then kind of continue on in a different direction. It worked out really well. Mikan, last try. Okay, is able to use the hookshot trick there. While blocks are moving, they become a sprite rather than a background object, and that means they inherit certain properties, like you can fire the hookshot through them. So you have a small window there to shoot the hookshot and zip right through the block. Mikan missed it the first time, so if he missed it the second time, he was going to have to reset that room.
Yeah. Now, normally you're supposed to push a block upstairs down to hit so you can move it onto the switch, but thankfully he's got the Cane of Samaria, so he can easily just knock that over. And now he is on his way to Cold Stare. We're going to get our next crystal here shortly.
With Tempered Sword and Red Mail and Bombos, Mikan's got a lot to work with here. Cold Stare can be a really tricky boss, but I think he's going to be okay. 6.5 hearts, though, is a little scary. I think you take 2 hearts of damage bumping into Cold Stare with Red Mail. So it can take 3 hits. We'll see how many. Starting off well with the spin, getting him into the corner. This is going to be really good.
Had a little bit of trouble there, but with the Fire Rod, does take out Cold Stare without too much trouble. So that was a nice lead on. Gets a Red Rupees for his troubles, unfortunately.
So the Ice Palace early-ish play for Mikan, not quite working out, but also not a huge deal, because still needed the crystal at the end of it. And I think probably still maintains a pretty healthy lead over Kevin.
I would say so. Plus, it not only was a crystal, but it was one of the 2 crystals needed for the big fairy in the pyramid. So if that turns out to be a payoff, then that was worth it.
Kevin's about to have a Mothula fight very smartly, recognizing that the Floor Master was about to come down, dodging it. We'll see what kind of Mothula fight he can come up with. The spin a little too early, not quite landing. Pretty sure at least one of those hits counted. Stay away from the corner, please, Mothula. All right, that was pretty good. Not quite the amazing fight that Mikan had, but still a very good fight.
Yeah, not absolutely terrible. So that's good, as good as you can get sometimes. Mikan now checking over, sees the single rupee on the ledge. He's going to make the move on Desert Palace.
This is
Not
good
gonna-
news for Kevin.
Yeah, it depends. We'll see how things turn out here. If Mikan decides to make the full play, and it ends up being a pedestal seed, this could be the difference maker.
You're right. There is a small chance that this is the worst thing for Kevin. But as it is, this is a place Kevin's checked for no gain. So to have Mikan also go here is pretty good for him. But Mikan's going to be in and out of here before Kevin could get all the way over to Ice Palace and finish that. So still advantage Mikan. And it looks like Kevin is indeed perhaps heading towards Ice Palace.
Yep, it's one of the few dungeons they can do right now. So, because they can't do Swamp Palace, they don't have the mirror. They can't do Pod or Eastern because they don't have the bow. And because they can't do Mire without the flute. And
Yep.
they can't do Turtle Rock without Quake. So right now, honestly, I think they kind of have to full clear Desert. Because they can't do anything else right now.
I feel like I'm pretty bad at remembering all the overworld locations the players have checked, and also I guess all the overworld locations that exist to be checked. But I feel like there's got to be something they're missing over in the overworld. We have seen Catfish. We've seen a lot of those western locations. No mirror. Have we seen King's Tomb?
I believe we have, yeah. Okay, nothing in King's Tomb. So, and someone saying, well, have they checked the first chests in Pod? No, they have not, but that's a risky play right now without the bow, because if the first chest is not a key, then they are bow locked. So that wouldn't be a good idea, and that means that that would be right back where they are now, completely stuck. So, but it looks like Mikan. He thought about it for a minute, and then he's like, you know what? No, I'm gonna go ahead and I think he realizes he's out of locations. He's gonna go for it.
All right, this could end up being pretty big. Like you said, there's possible locations to be checked in Pod. There is. I had it in my head and it's gone now. But Ether Tablet is incredibly far out of the way. You need to go all the way around because you don't have the mirror. But Ether Tablet is something that they can check in this situation.
True, that's very true. But Mikan deciding not to go for it because he was like, oh yeah, I've still got Agonist Cave. I haven't checked that yet. He's not going to find much there. But at this point, he's running out of options. And Chad also pointing out Purple Chest hasn't been checked yet.
That's right. They turned in the blacksmith, but did not do the purple chest. Normally, when you have the mirror, you've mirrored from the dark world to the light world to drop off the blacksmith. So you just go back in the portal and voila, there's the purple chest. But doing it without the mirror means you save and quit. There's no portal. And so heading all the way back there to get the purple chest makes it a pretty slow check, but still an item check nonetheless. So with the few locations left to be checked by the players, it's actually not a bad option, but Mikan is feeling like Palace of Darkness is the way to go. Perhaps? No, heading up to... Oh, the green pendant!
Green pendant! We forgot about that!
Yep, they've yet to turn it in. I was talking about how they would want to combo it with a visit to Pod, but the seed has seen fit not to give them the bow, so... just 20 rupees.
The pet hype is looking real, folks.
Every location the players check that does not have a progression item increases the chances that what they're looking for is on the pedestal. And boy, do we like to see those pedestal seeds.
This reminds me of what happened last night in a race I was calming with Hiei, where it just felt more and more like the pedestal was the right call. But in that case, it actually turned out not to be. The pedestal was a bust. So... yeah, this is interesting. You feel like it's getting closer to pedestal, but we still don't know for sure yet. I think it's going to come down to what we find in Pod. If Pod is bow locked, then it's got almost certainly pedestal seed. Because I don't think there's anything else.
There's that awful Ether Tablet all the way up on Death Mountain. But I think I'd probably go over and check pedestal before I did that.
That's true. So Mikan now getting a visit from everyone's favorite little extortionist, Kiki the Monkey.
Yeah, this little guy opens up the way to Palace of Darkness, but won't do it unless you give him 100 rupees. Thankfully, both players have plenty of rupees for everything they need to do from here on out. And a bit extra left for any potions they see fit to buy.
Indeed. So Mikan gonna check Palace of Darkness. There's only one chest he can check right now, but if it's a key, he can go further. If it's not, that's it.
Yep, we'll see. It's very often a key due to the way the dungeon is structured, but could get locked, and it is a key.
He's going for it. So he can check the rest of most of pod at this point. That was lucky. So this might be the right play after all.
The luck key going to be enabling Mikan to check more locations as Kevin is down to 5.5 hearts in Ice Palace. I think this is the first visit to this room here where above the big chest.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
So now at this point, Mikan's not going to find too many items early on because of how this dungeon is set up. You're more than likely to find keys early on. We like to jokingly call this place the Mullet Mansion because it's business in the front, party in the back.
That's right. So Mikan is falling down here on the left side. I figured he missed the placement of the first bomb, so just put a second one gently down on the railing to blow up on the way to fall down. Finding the big key, okay. And another place to be checked down here.
Well, there's our Ether Medallion.
Okay. We haven't been to Misery Mire yet, but it might be required to open it up. 33% chance.
Yeah, they still haven't found Quake, though, which we know is required. Wait, what's he doing? Oh, that's right. He can't go that way because he needs the bow for that.
Yep. So we're going to head back up. And is there another key to be found before a locked door? Yes, okay, Mikan's going to be... It's going to take a while to get there, but Mikan is going to be able to continue searching Palace of Darkness. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he can keep going. He goes here. Oh, no, this is a locked door.
He's locked out.
I'm wrong. I forgot that door was locked. I thought he was going to be able to go through or across the bridge, head to the right, and check some of those locations, but no.
He inevitably was bow locked, which means, yeah, he's going to check the ether tablet at this point. I think that's all he's got left.
All right. It's a long walk to go all the way to the east side here. We've seen Kevin do exactly this, but to get up to Tower of Hera. Didn't have the book at the time, though, so was not able to do this ether tablet check. Same with Mikan.
So at this point, he's hoping for either the mirror or the bow. Anything else, he's gonna have to go pull the pedestal.
Flute would possibly open up Misery Mire.
No, that's true. So flute would be helpful, but again, it's a 50-50 shot of finding what he needs.
Yeah. And for his sake, we want it to be on this tablet. For our sake, we absolutely want it to be on the pedestal. We can finally dashing all the way over there.
In the chat, praying to RNGesus for pedestal hype. Let's see what we get. Mikan, pull that tablet. What do we find? Bottle!
Nothing.
We have pedestal hype.
Oh, what a trolly seed this ended up being.
Things were going pretty well for them. You know, I guess there was a couple of pitfalls that they fell into, but this was really something. Mikan's hopes are still here on Spike Cave. Kevin has checked this, but Mikan hasn't. And Mikan is going to be very disappointed here. Purple chest. Still alive. 50-50. Still on the table. Not quite pedestal guaranteed. Chat keeping us honest. Thank you so much. Purple chest yet to be checked. What do you do in this situation? Do you check the pedestal? Or do you just do the purple chest?
It's a good question. This is good. I love the Soldier Hog in the chat. My presence just a curse in and of itself because I seem to be around when a lot of trolley seeds show up. That's just the luck of a randomizer. But yeah, it feels that way, doesn't it?
Well, the dark secret is that in most seeds end up being trolley in some way. Not all of them end up being pedestal seeds. Very few do, in fact. But yeah, the dark secret is that very likely something is going to throw a wrench into your works, into your plan, into your scheme, and The seed has had a couple, to be sure. Mikan is heading up to Lost Woods, has Titans, so has no reason to be going through this entrance other than to check the pedestal.
All right, folks, get your pedestal hype in chat. We're going to get a check. Could this be a pedestal seed? Come on, pedestal seed. Come on, pedestal seed. Let's get the book out. What do we got?
Turn anti-fairies
Powder!
into fairies. It's the powder. This is hugely ambiguous because powder opens up the magic bat, which could lead to whatever they're checking, but he doesn't know because it's just the powder. Oh my god.
That is even worse because now you don't know.
You don't know.
Oh, that
man.
is evil. That is evil.
Mikan bonking into a tree to get a refill of magic there. Might be thinking magic bat. But with purple chest on the table, I think I'd probably check that rather than finish Desert Palace for a mysterious bag of powder.
Yeah, it comes down to the purple chest. If the purple chest does not pay out, then he has to take the chance with the powder. Oh, the trolling is indeed real. Oh, I love it.
To go all the way up to the pedestal and then still have no idea whether or not it's required. That is something. Well played. Well played to this seed. There's the save and quit back in the light world with the purple chest, and actually it's fairly close with the Link's house location to get to Gary, who has been named that by someone. I don't know who, but that's what we call him. His wife has been kind enough to make him a bento box here with his lunch, and also some other kind of item. And for the cost of 10 rupees, he'll open this chest up and reveal an item inside.
What's it gonna be? This is it. It's all under this.
Oh my god!
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a pedestal seed.
Mikan is heading into Desert Palace. This is actually smart routing in a really bad situation. Able to continue going from Purple Chest into Desert Palace to get the pendant that he needs to pull the pedestal for the powder to go to Magic Bat to get who knows what. But there he can. So, you know, we don't encourage players to put things over top of their game feeds, but when it is really funny, we'll allow it. In this case,
thank you,
it's
Fiesel.
okay. No, I'm pretty sure that one was on Mikan.
Oh,
Put that
that's on
right.
Mikan.
Yeah, just
that might have
hijacked
been
our
Mikan.
stream.
Yeah, you know, in this case, I'll take it. That's perfect for a laugh.
Heading down this way. No flute or mirror accommodations, so no shortcuts through desert. Gonna have to walk all the way through it. As Kevin is heading into pod, we know this is not the way to go.
Yeah, I think I agree with Chad. Mikan has got to be swearing up and down right now, knowing he's got to go through all this trouble and not even knowing if this is going to pay off.
Swiping the key from under the pod. It's pretty quick to finish this back section of Desert Palace, but having to do all this in this situation can maybe start to and understandably so tilt a player a little bit, maybe throw them off their game. So players are going to have to keep their heads when faced with the lovely situations that Randomizer can throw you in, and we'll see how that affects their playing, their execution as they go through the last, I don't know, third or so of this seed. Now, I'm not going to say it's 100% certain that neither of us has made a mistake, because I've made too many mistakes to responsibly say something like that. But I am pretty sure they have checked all the other locations that are possible.
I'm trying to think in my head, but I can't think of anything they've missed.
They did Catfish, Hobos, Spike Cave, Ether Tablet, Green Pendant. They went into Pod. They can't get at all into Swamp. They did all they could in Eastern. They can't get into Turtle Rock or Mire. They've been to Escape, all of Escape.
Oh man, this is wow. I can't even imagine what's going through Mikan's head right now, knowing he has to do this. And while, yeah, it's almost certain he's going to find something here, not knowing what it is probably driving him insane.
It also prevents him from planning ahead in the situation. He's going to get the powder, and he knows, okay, well, now I take this to the magic bat, but whatever pops out of the magic bat, you need to be ready to react. If it's a bow, you're going to head over to Eastern Palace of Darkness. If it's a flute, you're going to be heading over to Misery Mire. If it's a mirror, you could do a couple of things. Probably just Swamp, though. You need to be ready for all these possibilities.
Oh, and Dragon Star Blade with a perfect troll. Powder to get Shovel from the Bat Cave, to get Quake from Dick Spot, to get Bow from Turtle Rock Boss Drop. Let's see if that hands out. Let's pull that pedestal. Get some pedestal hype here in the chat. We're getting our powder, ladies and gentlemen.
Never has a player been so excited to get the magic powder.
I know, right?
Well, there it is. Opting for a save and quit. I have no idea if it's faster to get to Magic Bat from the pedestal or the sanctuary. It's not really a situation that comes up very often.
I don't see it being a big difference either way. I guess because there's more straightaways coming from sanctuary, it's just faster to boot your way through. I think that's his thinking here.
Oh, there is an interesting question from chat that I'm surprised I forgot to point it. I'm not surprised I forgot to point it out, but it's possible to spoof the powder to get the Magic Bat item. If you have the Cane of Samaria and the mushroom, which both players do.
Yeah, but they both turned their mushrooms in, so they wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, is that part of the trick? Okay.
Yeah, you have to have the mushroom in your inventory, and they are both turned their mushrooms in, so they have to do this. All right, Magic Bat, what do you got for us? What have you trolled us with?
It's got to be something. One of 4 possible somethings, maybe 5.
Quake Medallion!
Oh, the next play is up to Turtle Rock of all things.
Oh, the trolling continues. Of all the things it could have been, it was the Quake Medallion.
Yeah, there is only one thing this thing is good for, and that's into getting into one of the latest game dungeons there is. It's also the one you want to leave last, because you can go straight from there to Ganon's Tower. So it's up to Death Mountain for the 3rd time for Mikan, and not going to be the last.
No. This is fantastic. I love it.
I don't know how the players feel about it. Kevin has yet to check Catfish, so Kevin dashing all the way around through the overworld, going to be exhausting all the possibilities the same way Mikan did. Because, you know, pedestal's going to be one of the last things you check in this situation. Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it seems I'm giving these guys the worst curses. Kevin throwing a bomb into the catfish after checking it, not happy with what he found there. Oh, this is fantastic.
It can be hard not to panic in this situation. Like, we're saying we're pretty darn sure it had to be, the pedestal. But when you're a player, you can be left asking questions. Did I mess something up on the tracker? Is there a place I missed? It's easy to panic, and it can really throw you off.
Mikan, please send help.
I don't think he needs help. I think he's doing pretty good. He's got a lot of hearts, red mail, tempered sword. He's doing Turtle Rock in a weird situation, to be sure. But, I mean, he's got everything that you normally have for a trip to Turtle Rock, barring maybe, like, half magic or something. So it's going to be a pretty routine check of Turtle Rock. It just has some interesting circumstances around it.
No kidding. Oh, this... I love seeing scenes like this. This is the kind of stuff you love to commentate, because you just know the chaos involved. It's just so much fun.
I have no idea how a player feels in this situation. I mean, Mikan's throwing up the jokes. I don't know if that's like relieving stress or if he's legit entertained by what is happening in this seed. It's hard to say, but
we'll definitely have to. I definitely hope we get the chance to talk to him after this, because we got to see how this plays out. This is just so much fun. Heading into the roller room now. Finds the big key. Always nice, and there's a small key that he needs, so he'll be able to move on from here. Oh, this is fantastic.
burning the rest of his magic with the Cane of Burna. When that was picked up in Hype Cave, I poo-pooed it a little bit, said it wasn't going to be very helpful for these players, especially because they already had the cape, which functions with a similar purpose. But I don't know if cape would have lasted through that room there, so Mikan putting the blue cane to work there.
Now into the chain shop room, one of the most dangerous rooms in the game, because these chain shops, even with red mail, can do a ton of damage, so you need to be careful. So let's see. There's the other small key he needs, so let's move on forward.
Taking one hit there, definitely. I'll take a one-hit chain chomp room any day. Cannot be understated how scary that room is.
Indeed. The only time you don't want a one hit is when you're low on health, but thankfully he's got more than enough right now.
Also now has that magic powder, so even if he did get low on life, there's a lot of anti-fairies that the magic powder can be used to turn into delicious, delicious fairies and refill all that health.
Kind of like this room right here, where you got 4 of them right next to each other. Like, this is almost, you got powder, plus you got the bunny bean. So that's almost you're almost guaranteed to get enough fairies here to heal up fully once you get in there. So let's see what that one chest has. Mirror!
Okay, we got access to Swamp now. We got access to Bombo's tablet. We don't have Flute yet, so it's not going to open up Checkerboard Cave. There's Haunted Grove Ledge. There's Graveyard Ledge. It's not really clear where that's going to lead Mikan after he gets out of Turtle Rock. Probably to Swamp, but if this seed wants to be trolly, it could put it somewhere weird.
Considering how trolly it's been already, I wouldn't doubt it.
Chad also smartly pointing out Mimic Cave is another thing you can get to only from Turtle Rock, even though it's on the the overworld rather. You need to mirror on a ledge to get into it, and mirror coming just in time to enable Mikan to check that location.
Yep, and Kevin now heading. You can tell he's panicking. He does not know where to go, so he's in panic. But I don't think he realized he doesn't want to accept the fact that this is a pedestal seed. Oh, that's brilliant.
And even if he throws his hands up and says, "Fine, I'll check the pedestal," he's gonna see its powder, and still not have his answer.
Nope, that's how trolly the seed is being. Is that right now he has no clue. And he won't have a clue until he does it. He's turning his green pen, it looks like. He's not going to be happy with what he finds there.
As Mikan is going to finish off Turtle Rock. Who's to say that more items aren't found here in Turtle Rock? We found the mirror, which opens up more places, but it could be the bow flute, even the shovel. Yeah, somewhere else.
He's going to have to check Laser Bridge. All right, I have to step out for just a second. I will be right back.
Absolutely. Mikan using the invincibility from standing on the pegs to didn't quite bonk over the tube as I think he intended there on the way back, but moving smartly through Turtle Rock, still looking pretty healthy, so doesn't have to worry about the fire bars here on this screen. The bigger question is Kevin. What's going through Kevin's mind? He's dashing down here, could do purple chest, but it looks like Kevin is going to be heading to, yep, no, that's the portal. Dark World Pedestal, going for Pedestal. Going to receive the incredibly ambiguous information of where the Lost Woods is. Good thing he checked the sign, he's found that. But yeah, we're going to see the Pedestal check from Kevin. Powder, of course, not guaranteed to lead to anything for Kevin, because I think there's at least still purple chests left to check, as well as Ether Tablet. So either checking those locations or just heading to Desert and doing the pedestal for the powder. Not sure what Kevin will do. Also important to check Mikan and, yep, finding the Butter Sword. I was going to say the still items fine here in Turtle Rock, and one of them is going to be the Butter Sword. That's a sword upgrade for him. As Kevin bombs the pedestal, not happy with that reveal of powder on pedestal. We'll see what that leads him to do.
All right, I'm back.
Welcome back. Kevin has checked the pedestal and has promptly bombed it with that well-placed bomb throw, I might add. Landed right on the pedestal.
Nice, and it doesn't look like Mikan found much else in Turtle Rock other than the Butter Sword, it seems.
That's right. So he's going to finish it off here with a Trinex fight, and then probably off to Swamp. Swamp's a crystal. It's got a lot of items in it. But it's possible what Mikan needs next is not in Swamp, and it's in one of the other locations that is opened up by the mirror. And if this seed wanted to go next level with its trolling, I can't find any other... I don't like using the word too much, but I can't think of any other word for the way things have gone in this seed so far. Something could be in one of those weird locations. Very good Trinex fight there from Mikan.
Indeed, indeed. And Kevin looks like he does not know what to do. He is lost.
He at least knows the powder's on the pedestal. That's something. So if he's completely lost and in kind of panic mode, could at least be like, well, that's something. Has some direction, some guiding light to follow in this darkness, and it looks like it is going to be leading. Well, I don't know. Could be heading for a Dark World portal. No, is heading to desert. So this is not a last-ditch situation for Kevin the way it was for Mikan. There's a couple other possibilities that Kevin could have checked, but is either making a conscious decision to go to desert first, or is simply unable to recall in this weird panicked state he's probably in, where those items may be, and is going for the one thing where he knows has a chance at being something.
Indeed, but Mikan now, like you said, heading on his way to Swamp Palace now that he's got the mirror finally. This has just been an incredible seed already thus far. It's these kind of seeds that, like I said earlier, you love to commentate, so I'm always grateful when I get a chance to see these in action.
We're going to get a chance to see both players in action as they're back in dungeons pretty soon. It's been a while since we've seen one. Kevin pulling out the fire rod, going to be needed to light some torches, and can also help in the Landmola's fight. Tempered Sword's pretty good. Silver Arrows would have been good if they had that bow.
Yeah, but we still haven't found that yet. Is it in here in Swamp Palace? We are going to find out soon enough.
Not going to be in that first chest. That one's always a small key, otherwise you get stuck right away, but we're going to start seeing some options open up soon. Mikan bombing this first wall here. The only thing you can check without the hammer.
Yep. All right, let's guess here. How are we gonna find you? The trolliest thing we can do is Flute here in Swamp Palace. Has to head to Meyer to find the bow.
You could throw the shovel in there somewhere.
Oh yeah, especially the shovel. Shovel in one of these two, in either Flute here or shovel here, to find the next progression item to go forward. That's what we're looking at here. So there's a lot of trolling still to be done, but with how much trolling we've already got, I think we're in good shape.
Yeah, I think the worst thing the seed can really do at this situation, though, is put something in one of those mirror locations on the overworld. Either way, whatever he finds is going to lead Mikan to a dungeon, and then he's going to do that dungeon and probably find something to lead him to the next dungeon, and in that way, it won't be too bad as a player in terms of making decisions. But if something isn't in one of those out-of-the-way mirror locations, that could be something Mikan overlooks.
Yeah, definitely. So there's still this seed has a lot to give us here. Let's see what we find here. There's the big key. So he's going to probably immediately check the big chest, see what he finds there. Will he do left side? Probably, given the way the seed's been. There's a 5-arrow upgrade, and yeah, it looks like he's heading to the left. Almost got stuck there.
Kevin has finished Desert Palace. Landmola's is dead. All 3 pendants are around Link's neck in a humorous Mr. T fashion. And I'm pretty sure Kevin is heading over to Lost Woods.
It's the only place he can go right now. Mikan making sure to grab the key here. This is the one time where you can accidentally lock yourself out. If you forget to pick up that key and flood that river, you can't pick it up anymore, and you have to reset the dungeon and start from the beginning to get it again.
Yeah, if you're a newer player, that can really throw you for a loop, because you might be like, oh, shoot, I screwed up, and then you mirror, and you go back, and it's still flooded, and you go, and then you mirror and you leave the dungeon and you come back and it's still flooded and you're like, oh no, I've blown it. But you actually have to leave the dungeon, go one screen away from the dungeon, then come back, and then the room will reset. I wish I could remember the poor player who walked through all of those possibilities. Give them a special shout out.
No kidding. It's never fun when you have to deal with that. So Mikan now. Kevin finally picking up his powder. And he's not going to be happy with where he has to go after this.
At least he's got a sense of direction. I think
That's very true.
Having to do these annoying tasks is one thing, but having no idea where to go, that feeling of being lost and knowing the timer is ticking, that can be a pretty awful feeling. So
there's the flute!
All right, one more progression item in the bag. But still more left to be found, particularly the bow. The bow is the last thing required for go mode. It's going to be a good old-fashioned bow mode. And we don't know where it is. It could still be here in Swamp, so we're definitely still going to be opening every chest that we come across.
Oh, man. This seed. So let's see what else Mikan finds along the way while Kevin heading into the Batcave to get his Quake medallion.
Not going to be happy to see that Quake medallion, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's the last thing you want to find right now. You want to save that for last, but nope, you had no choice.
Well, I guess with other locations left to check for Kevin, maybe seeing at least some sort of progression is not the worst thing. If he had seen green rupees or something, and then would realize, like, oh crap, I don't know where the item is, but it's somewhere.
There's the bug net there in Swamp Palace, so we've only got an item or two left, as far as I know. And yeah, Kevin dropping a bomb off of the bat.
I think everything is going to be getting bombed from here on out.
Yeah, he is in rage mode, you can tell.
Using the hook shot to traverse Death Mountain. I really like the triple hookshot thing you can do as you approach the bridge, but with the boots, not necessary. Kevin's going to keep dashing. So Mikan is getting close to Argus.
Yeah, I think the compass, I don't think I saw the compass, so I think that's what Argus is going to have on him.
Needs to be killed for that crystal regardless, so we'll see how this fight goes. Oh, I think he actually tried to do the quick kill strat where you skewer the puffs on your outstretched sword. I think it involves like a hook dash and you have the sword out and you repeatedly fire the hook shot into the sword. It's really, really hard to do. It would have been cool, but Mikan abandoning it as soon as it didn't quite work out. I'm going to be going with 2 spins on the second phase and a very well executed Argus fight.
Indeed. Yep, there's the compass. So next stop for him, without question at this point, is probably going to be Misery Mire.
Yep, that's what the flute is going to open up. We'll probably dip into the Mire Shed, maybe Checkerboard Cave, but maybe not. While the bow is going to help with the Vitreous fight, so you'd rather have it before going in Misery Mire than after.
True, but Mikan's going to head off to activate his flute. Been a while. It took this long for us to finally get this set up. Like, this was something you like to have early on, but Flute decided to be super trolly because you had to have the Quake. You had to pull the pedestal to get the powder, to get the Quake medallion, to go to Turtle Rock, get the mirror, and then go to Swamp Palace to finally get it. That's how trolly this Flute was. But ladies and gentlemen, it is time for us to rise for the Link to the Past Randomizer National Anthem. Get your swag ducks in chat, ladies and gentlemen. And now the goose is loose.
Brings a tear to my eye every time.
I know.
So we're going to be seeing an instant flute here from Mikan. Going to be fluting over to Mire and then probably over to Palace of Darkness, of course. Needs to be finished still, along with Eastern. And then probably a flute up to Death Mountain to finish the game. So the flute's not going to be getting a whole lot of use, but it is a required item. It is the only way to get to this section of the game Mikan is in now. where the dungeon Misery Mire is found.
Yep. So he's gonna check the shack first. Finds 5 rupees in the first chest, and same in the other chair. 20 rupees, I say, not 5. 20 rupees in both chests. Oh. He's probably gonna. Let's see. He's gonna go right into Mire. He's gonna save the checkerboard cape for afterwards. It looks like. Obviously, he's got all the medallions. Bombos for Mire. So let's go in and see what's going on in here. Also, chat calling me out saying I got to stop with the pet seeds. They're gonna quit when they find out I'm doing commentary.
You definitely have made a bit of a name for yourself.
Yes, I'm gonna become I'm calling myself the Troll Shades from now on, because that seems to be my thing. I troll whenever I'm on commentary. The seed just likes to be extra trolly.
I feel like we could probably get something that rhymes or something. I don't know. We'll workshop it. I'll talk to Dr. Bob. But until then, well, we got a Mire 2 here, and Mikan doesn't want to mess around. This is a really tricky room with these whiz robes. You want to try to get all of them before they fade. It's really hard to do, so Mikan says, well, how about I just explode everything in the room?
Yeah. Time it right. It saves you a lot of trouble, which Mikan definitely did, so that saves him some time. So let's see what else we find along the way here. He's going to head up and check this chest up top.
This is the big key, and if you're the kind of player who has mastered the technique of hovering, which is a minor glitch and allowed in this tournament, you could go straight to Vitreous. Probably not a good idea while you're still missing the bow.
Very true.
Yeah, that is a thing. Hovering is a technique where basically while you're charging up the boots, the game won't make you fall, and then there's one frame in between letting go of it and repressing it where it won't make you fall either. So you can use that one frame to repeatedly sort of charge the boots. It's very hard to release a button and then repress it a frame later consistently. You need to do it multiple times throughout the duration of the hover. Very few players have bothered to learn how to do it. There's a fair number of them out there now. It used to be like 3 people could do it, but now the number's grown a little bit, but it's still an incredibly hard, rare technique. It would be really fun to see it.
Yeah, it's some tricks you just got to really master it before you can really put it to good use.
Again, going to be heading to the left side of Misery Mire, using the lantern instead of the fire rod to preserve magic, because we still haven't found the half magic. The shovel has been found in Misery Mire. Does the shovel lead to the bow? Who knows? Mikan could be in go mode, but because he doesn't know,
Schrodinger's go mode.
That's right. And now we're going to be into the longest room of the game in just a moment, firing those fire rod shots through the moving block. Like we talked before, the blocks inherit weird properties while they're moving. And then the last one gets lit up, and here we go, waiting. I think it's 14 seconds. It feels like 14 years. Waiting and waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. And finally, we are free to go.
Let's see what we got here in the vanilla big key chest. There it is! There's the bow!
Oh man, the shovel was just like a last minute attempt.
Tease. Last minute tease there. Ladies and gentlemen, Mikan has officially entered Go Mode!
There is a lot of dungeons left to go. We still need to finish off Misery Mire. We need to do Pod. We've seen most of Pod, but not all of it. We've seen most of Eastern, but not all of it. Every dungeon gonna be completed here in this seed. Everything on the tracker gonna be lit up except for Aghanim. This was a heck of a seed.
This is as close to a 100% run as you can get.
Kevin gonna be picking up the butter sword on the bridge. Gonna be happy to see that. Bombed open the wall at the bottom to open up a sort of checkpoint. Perhaps a little uncomfortable with doing the laser bridge room. I know I am.
Yeah, if you don't have the gold to the mirror shield, or the riot shield as we like to call it, it's a little tricky. He's at least got the fire shield, but that's about it.
Yeah, also has Cape and Cane of Burna, so those are also options. It's pretty slow, and it uses up some of your magic, so if you're worried about getting through this room here, which you probably shouldn't be, but Still, you'd rather do the nice dash strats if you can. So Kevin tried it out a little bit, wasn't quite working out for him, gave up on it, and opted to put on the cape.
Indeed. And of course, we still, it's funny, we still have not found half magic anywhere. I have a feeling that's in Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, usually if you get to Ganon's Tower and you haven't found it yet, the odds are incredibly high that it is in Ganon's Tower. There's a ton of item locations in there. Most of the good items don't end up in there because, of course, you need all 7 crystals to get in. Logic's not going to put anything you need to get those crystals inside the tower, but every now and then, items that are required for some dungeons, those dungeons end up being pendants, and those items can find their way into Ganon's Tower. You can sometimes find some pretty interesting stuff in Ganon's Tower. Silver arrows and butter sword have both been found, but you're right, half magic could be a pretty good thing to look out for in Ganon's Tower, but it's still a ways away. Kevin's done with Trinex, Mikan is done with Misery Mire, but there's some dungeoneering to be done before we head up to Ganon's Tower.
Yeah, we still got Pod and Eastern Palace to complete, and that's what Mikan is doing now. But this seed has been an absolute troll, and I loved every second of it. This has been amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, if you've been enjoying these runners, let's take this opportunity to remind you guys, give these guys a follow on Twitch, Mikan and Kevin Cabarello. And of course, again, big thank you to our tracker, Duberson. And of course, my co-commentator, Mythical9, along with myself. Give us all a follow. A whole bunch of great people here.
Man, something really did happen to that bot. That's a shame. But we will get the links to the runners, streams, and everything for you guys if you just stick around. To be sure, Mikan into Palace of Darkness. Finally going to be heading down the... you go right and downwards, and you get to this area with some mimics. No, Igors. No, mimics.
No, it's mimics. It's mimics.
Both those enemies, the bow is required to defeat them, and that's the reason why you can't progress through these parts of the dungeon without that bow that proved to be so elusive in this seed. Now that we are finally in go mode, it's going to change things a bit. Mikan doesn't need to check all of the locations, just needed a key to keep going here.
Yep, but fortunately, they've already checked pretty much everything here.
Yeah, I think there's the dark maze and the chests and the sort of like the dark loop that you do in the basement. I don't think either player was able to get to those locations, and it looks like neither player is going to end up going there at all.
Can you blame them at this point?
No, they're ready to be done with this seed. Absolutely. Sword beam to hit the switch. It's a good thing to get here with full health so that you can keep this hammer out. And into the turtle room. This can be pretty messy. We'll see how it goes. That was very well executed so far. The thing about keeping the sword beams is that you usually still have the sword beams for the turtle room when you don't want them anymore. The way sword beams work, they just kind of emerge from your hitbox and have a way of hitting the enemy before your sword does. And sword beams do 1 damage to the butter sword's 8.
Indeed. So Mikan now working on the Helmassar King. I believe it's 17 hits with the hammer to break the mask off, and then you can either use the butter sword or the silver arrows to do a very quick kill. He's going to be in good shape for that.
Almost a quick 1-2 punch there, but yeah, with butter sword, it's just 2 hits. Silver arrow is a 1-shot kill. Not often you get to do that to a Dark World boss, but there you go. Helm sword down. Very quick dungeon. About as quick as Pod can be, really.
Pretty much. So he's going to be, and he's going to immediately mirror over to take out Eastern Palace. He's in very good position. It's pretty much Mikan's race to lose at this point.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm being honest, it's been Mikan's race to lose for a while. Kevin's been spending a lot of time Well, we saw like just kind of luck of the draw on their routing gave Mikan an advantage up on Death Mountain. Was able to do Hera during his first visit there, whereas Kevin had to go back and all the way around, and that was big. But Kevin has also lost a ton of time, just being a little lost, not being quite sure where to go, and checking these last few locations that because all the locations kind of had to be checked. Checking those locations in a pretty inefficient order compared to Mikan. And it's being able to string together a route through weird situations like that is the kind of thing that only comes with a lot more experience. So I think Mikan is pulled up mostly through this lead, through the ability to suss out where to go in complicated situations like that.
Absolutely. So Mikan now heading into the dark room, the dark back of Eastern Palace. With him decked out like he is, this should be no trouble. I mean, those silver arrows alone, he's going to knock out the Armos Knights like nothing. So he will be ready to head to Ganon's Tower very shortly.
Yeah, there's a pretty complicated quick kill you can do because the last Armos Knight gets its health refilled and gets red and angry, and you can skip that phase by landing 2 arrows in rapid succession on the remaining 2 Armos Knights, and it can be hard to pull off, but with the silver arrows, they all die in one hit anyway, so not too much thought to be put into it. Just don't miss. Like Mikan is missing the second Igor. Wow, look at this. He only got 28 more arrows, man. Calm down.
You only need 6.
That's right. That's the power of the silver arrows. But he's going to need those arrows later on. There's a lot of Ganon's Tower. There's the Gauntlet. There's Ganon himself. Down to 20 now. I don't think it's going to be a concern, but if he had kept going, maybe.
Indeed. So Mikan now finishing up the Armos Knights. Gets his last crystal. He's heading on his way to Ganon's Tower. Ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. For those who don't, this is a tradition we do. He is on his way to Ganon's Tower. There are exactly 22 different item locations inside of Ganon's Tower. Where do you think the big key is hiding? You can either enter in a number, or if you're really trolly, you can specify exactly what chest location you think it is. Mythical, where do you think that big key is hiding today?
Number 19 is my lucky number. It's the one I always go to. I've won this game twice before already this tournament, so look out.
I like to be a little more specific on my end. I'm gonna go hookshot room, upper left chest.
Trying to think of which room is the hookshot room.
That's the one where you have to use it's the room above that where you have to use the hook shots to get across all those gaps.
Oh, okay, with the 3 Stalfos?
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Specific location listed. I go for the number just because I feel the lucky number. Just feel something from that number. It speaks to me.
Hey, wherever works for you. Though my luck has been very terrible with this. I've always been 1 chest off. Almost every time. 1 chest off.
It's going to be a little bit before we get to find out. You've still got time to get your guesses in, but not too much longer. The first chest in Ganon's Tower is going to get opened up pretty soon. I saw Feasel type in a command, so I'm starting to wonder if he's gone and implemented some sort of big key guessing game behind. I don't know. I'm not going to read too much into it, but that would be pretty cool.
I think he's just trying to figure, because I don't think that commands are working at all.
Whatever.
So
anyway,
I think he's trying to figure out what's going on. Anyway, back into Ganon's Tower. Let's get going. He's going to start on the right side.
Well, I guess I am curious how would you feel if we had a big key guessing game implemented?
Oh, first chest! First chest!
XXX Roof XXX says it's always one. Definitely one of our winners today, and I think the only winner. Congratulations.
Wow.
There is a guessing. All right, guys. How cool is that? Would you not be more willing to participate in the big key chess guessing game if a bot in chat recorded your guess and then put it in that you were a winner, and then we had a leaderboard? Who knows what we'll do with it, but that'd be fun. leaderboard for the most skilled guessers.
All right. Oh, but yeah, I think that was the seed apologizing for how trolly the seed's been today.
There's only so much bad luck in the world. Even the worst seeds are capable of good, and we're seeing some of that today. I'm a bit of a buzzkill sometimes, and players talk, oh, what a trolly seed. Oh, can you believe it made them go into a dungeon twice? Oh my god. And then I'll kind of point out, well, you know, I mean, the odds are actually pretty high that, you know, you're probably going to have to go into a dungeon twice. It's not that big a deal, but this seed, ladies and gentlemen, this seed has been a bona fide troll seed, a pedestal required powder.
Yeah. That is trolly beyond trolls. I've seen some trolly seeds, but that was something amazing. So this has been a fun race to run. Mikan having a little trouble here in this ice conveyor room here in the gauntlet. But he gets through.
Nice silver arrow shot on that Stalfos. Those are not easy to land. Stalfos are very skittery creatures. The bow has a big wind-up before the arrow comes out, and then it travels really slowly. It can be kind of risky using the bow in the gauntlet like that, but Mikan doing great work there.
Of course, he wisely heals up using the powder on the bunny beam to get a fairy, and does pretty quick work there on Landmolus too.
Yeah, not quite able to get the one cycle. When you go for the powder on the bunny beam, it actually changes the timing that the Landmolus worms come up through the ground. So if you're like even a little bit slow doing the powder, you'll see that the first two come up at exactly the same time. So can make it pretty much impossible to get the one cycle in a lot of situations. Mikan doing a very good job of gaining his towers so far.
He's got a lot of leeway right now, so he can take it easy, even though at this point he probably doesn't feel that way.
If nothing else, you want to put a stamp on there that says, look, I had this really awful pedestal seed, and I was still well under the 2 hour mark, right? Like he's gonna come in there as long as he keeps everything up. That can be enough to motivate a player.
That is true. Mikan now working on the Slack torch room here. Is he gonna check the chest up here? I'd be surprised. Nope, he's not going for it.
Yeah, there's pretty much nothing left except perhaps half magic that could help Mikan at this time. Half magic can make an impact in the Ganon fight. I mean, they've got silvers, so you don't really need to worry too much about the torch glitch, but if things were to get away from you a little bit, it could maybe be a factor. Not enough for Mikan to bother going even just a little bit out of his way to open some chests. There is one chest that is particularly close, though. And here it is. What's he gonna do? We've seen bombs thrown off stage, and he's not opening it.
Nope. We jokingly call that the validation chest, but that's not gonna happen here.
I mean, he's already got the validation arrow. He's all checked off.
That's true.
And now we're going to get an Aghanim 2 fight. You don't get a health refill in between Aghanim and Ganon. So hearts can be a bit of a concern. I think Mikan still has a red potion. I think it was a bee in a bottle, not a fairy. I can't quite remember, but...
Yeah, it was bee in the bottle. Nice triple starting things off there, but that second round trolled him hard with the blue balls. So let's see if this one does a little better. Nope. Aghanim being trolly.
Got one pretty good hit there on that phase, but was unable to make the other one connect. And that last one, totally getting astray there. I had a chance there for an easy double, but the swordsman didn't quite last long enough to reflect that straggling shot. I find the Aghanim 2 fight to be very hard to execute at a high level. You have to be so precise with baiting out these shots at certain angles, and wow, that was a great job. Getting right up in Aghanim's face, baiting the shot out to be right in front of him so that he could just spin instantly and smashed into him.
But yeah, Mikan finishes off Agana 2, and it's now time for the big pig as Kevin now enters go mode, drops he bombing the chest in frustration. I don't blame him.
The double bomb. But that is go mode for Kevin. Still has a ways to go here. Even if, it did take a power outage at this point for Mikan to lose this one, but we'll see if he can finish strong. Down to 5.5 hearts. Red Mail is going to go a long way towards helping out in this fight, but this is still pretty scary. Fortunate Ganon position here, able to just plug away at him. Hookshot invincibility frames, 1-2, do it again. Nicely executed second phase.
Got through that with no trouble, only taking one hit from the fire bats, and he's already on to the final phase. The way he's been executing this fight, it would take a surprise Ganon hook for him to mess this up now.
It would take a new attack from Ganon that no one's ever seen before. No one knew was programmed into the game. That's the kind of miracle it would take, I think. At this point, Mikan is on fire, hitting all 3 phases. We sure did find those silver arrows. We found them very, very quickly. Could have maybe lined up a double there, but was a bit far away, so just went for the single. This could be a double.
Gets the double, and he also got the torch glitch, which made it a little easier. There's the 4th hit. Ladies and gentlemen, GG to Mikan. Very nicely done, sir. He'll be entering the room shortly, and we will get his official time, but fantastic after an amazing race. That was incredible. Mikan finishing with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 50 minutes, and 46 seconds. GG, Mikan.
I'm sure you guys want to hear from Mikan as much as we do. So we'll see if we can pull him in here and talk to him.
And he is up for it, so we'll be talking with him shortly.
Meanwhile, Kevin, putting the finally found bow to use against Vitreous, executing very well on that fight, earning only the 5th crystal, because this is just that kind of seed.
Indeed. Mikan joining us now. GG, Mikan.
What a seed, dude. That was crazy.
I'm telling you. Yeah, that was insane. We were enjoying watching that. What was that feeling you had when you checked the pedestal and it was powder?
Well, I was lucky at that point. I really didn't have that much left to do. I think I said out loud, well, of course it is. And then I just kind of kept going.
So was there any doubt in your mind? Because when you, if you check the pedestal and it's like, it's the bow, then you know, okay, I'm going to go get the bow. But when it's powder, you don't necessarily know that it's what you're looking for. And so is there a thought in your mind that, did I mess something up on the tracker? Is there something I've missed? Do these things start running through your mind? Or at you point where you're, yeah? Okay. I thought
Absolutely.
so.
I think at that point, what did I have left? I had, the purple chest and, Spike Cave and Ether Tablet, I think, maybe?
And those were the things. And then you did all the things, I think.
So I figured, well, I might as well do the chest last because I can just go to the desert right then.
Which ended up being a really smart routing decision in the end because you did have to do that. So unfortunate there. And it looks like, Kevin Cabarello has forfeited his end. He is done.
Saying straight up that was ruthless, and he is not wrong. He is pretty far behind. He did not deal with the pedestal seed nearly as well as you did. Your routing, when those locations start to dry up and they're scattered around the world, your routing has to be pretty spot on in order to get to those last few locations in a good order. So things like, I can go from Purple Chest to Desert Palace to get the pendant. Stuff like that is pretty good.
Right.
And I think that's the kind of stuff that kind of got away from Kevin. So he finished Misery Mire, still has Pod Eastern to go.
Yeah, but no, he's forfeited. He already forfeited. He's actually in the waiting room waiting. I'm going to go ahead and bring him in for us. Kevin, how we doing, man?
GG, everyone.
Yeah, GG. That was a doozy.
Yeah, that seed, I don't know who put that together, but I want names. That was absolutely ruthless. I want names. I want their phone numbers, addresses. You don't give that seed to people that haven't won a match yet. That was
That's true. Oh, I didn't think about that. But both players have yet to pick up a win in this match, and you're hungry for it, for that first win. And this is the meal that we serve up.
It was just scraps. It was just little it's like grizzle on a like deteriorated bone, basically.
Oh man. Yeah, this one got you guys good. Yeah. What was going through your mind when you finally decided to check the pedestal and it was powder of all things?
Well, I'm sitting here thinking, it's like, what have I not done? And I'm like, please don't be the bat. And then then the bat had a whatever quake, and it's just like, all right, let's go to turtle. And then Amir's there, and I wanted to die.
It's pretty late here after that.
Yeah. Oh, it was. I assume it was. So I don't know. I have a long ways to go. That's why I just did the dot quit. So I didn't want to keep you guys waiting. I know there's a lot of other races to be done today. So
I was especially happy whenever we found the lamp like super early, and then we get the flippers, we go to the waterfall cave, and then the left chests have the cave. I was like, well, I'm doing Aghanim now. Then I pull the right chest and it's the hammer. Well, I'm not doing Aghanim now.
Right. It made you think for about 2 seconds to Aga, and then that changed very quickly.
Yeah.
So there was a routing early on. We were like, oh man, things are going so well for Kevin. Just do the order that that Kevin had checked things, had access to a couple of powerful things early on that I'm totally blanking because my mind is just replaced with pedestal powder.
Yeah. What did I do? I did something where I found like glove and hook shot. I forget where they were.
That's
I
it.
remember. I found glove and hook shot somewhere early. So.
And you both had the lamp, so you went glove hook shot. I'm going to Death Mountain, right? There's a ton of items up there, and Mikan took a while to get up there. And then there was something good. It was like the Moon Pearl on Death Mountain, opening up the Dark World, and I was like, oh man, things are going great for Kevin. And then it turned out that Hera had the Titans, which was a big block. And so Mikan, but when Mikan finally went up to Death Mountain, already had the hammer to go through the pegs over to Hera. And that ended up being a really big time save, not having to do Death Mountain again. So it swung from one way to the other. And then after that, Mikan kind of ran away with it as the things got more and more hard to find, and eventually impossible to find without getting to the pedestal.
Oh yeah.
Say the ice rod was also in here. Was that the other item in there?
I think you're right.
It was up there somewhere. Well, I found the ice rod, and I had the red can at the time. I was just thinking, well, if I had the mitts, I could go check Turtle Rock right now. And then I found the mitts. I was just like, well, if I had the fire rod, I could check Turtle Rock right now. And then the fire rod was in Super Bunny Cave. Like, well, I don't have the mirror to go to Turtle Rock. Luckily, it was Quake anyway, but still.
It definitely would have made you think when it took so long to be able to finally figure out where the hell Quake was. So
that was super fun.
Oh, I do have one random question here. Can you explain to me what happened when I was in Ice Palace and the game just like glitched the hell out and I had to restart?
Yeah, someone asked that in chat, and I missed it. I don't know what happened, but I would like to review it.
Because it's like I went to the part where you push the block and you go through the little 4 doors or whatever. It's like the enemies never spawned and the chest showed up, and then the doors wouldn't open when I hit the block. And it's just I'm not well versed in Link to the Past, and I'm pretty new to the game. It's just I just wondered if you knew or had any idea what in the world happened there, because I had to restart.
I know there's weird things that can happen, particularly with the camera. If the camera's not perfectly correct, the game has a tendency to freak out in some pretty weird ways. There are times where people go through a doorway and then the screen scrolls to go to the next room, and then it just keeps scrolling, and Link's walking on everything, and then he starts falling and never stands up again, just keeps falling over and over. Like some really weird things with really very small chances that it can happen. Chad asking or pointing out it might be similar to the Ganon's Tower sprite despawn glitch, which is when the torch, when you light those torches, the 4 torches with the bar spinning, you light those and you go to the next room and then there's the stairs up.
Okay.
If you go up those stairs on the same frame that the door closes from the torches running out, all the sprites on the next floor despawn, including Aghanim, so you have to redo the whole thing.
Oh God. All right. Well, yeah. I'll rewatch it. Or I don't know if anybody like clipped that or something, but I would really interested in figuring out, the logistics or what have you of what happened there. So, but
Yeah,
obviously that happening didn't, it didn't affect the outcome of this game. It's Mikan definitely ran away with this one here, but why give us that seed? We're lowly pawns in this game of randomizer tournament, and you gotta fool us with that kind of garbage. I don't know.
Well, now I pointed this out earlier when we were talking about the scores so far, because and even to even get into this tournament, you had to beat out another 150 some odd people here. So
yeah,
don't be putting yourself down too much. As for the seed, you have to ask Mr. Randomizer, I think actually is the thing responsible for giving you this. Is love it or hate it, it is what it is.
But yeah, it's I'll definitely finish this seed in my own time. But it's appreciate still being part of the tournament. We'll try and get a W next week. So.
Sounds good. Thanks to both of you guys for coming and talking to us. Congratulations, Mikan, and we wish you both the best of luck in your remaining matches.
Yeah,
GG to both of you guys.
Yep, thank you. Thanks for commentating everything. So GG to you, Mikan.
Yeah, and I hope you keep at it. Stay in the even in the super lower bracket. Finish up those matches.
I'll be just as hungry next week. So, but yeah, good luck to you the rest of the way.
Yeah. Have a good day.
Yep.
All right, so that's going to do it for our broadcast here on Speed Gaming 3, but good news is, with the way things are going nowadays, there's pretty much always something going on Speed Gaming. In this case, there's a match that might be over now on Speed Gaming 2, but maybe you want to check in and see, but there's definitely something going on, another match on Speed Gaming 1, which is just called Speed Gaming. We didn't put a 1 on it. We first made it. We weren't thinking that far ahead, I guess. Maybe.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, we got Christos Odin versus Tear at 4 p.m. on Speed Gaming. We've got a quad race at not quad race. A red race with Zero Rush and Genja on Speed Gaming 3 at 6. Big Dunka and Walking Eye at 8. I think that one's a quad race because there's also Oh Hey It's David and Lava and Firestorm there. And then we've got Zyra. Well, actually, I don't know if that one's being broadcast yet, but we've also got Zyrak and Alucard 2004, Ben Teasy and I'm the Schwartz. We do have 9:30. We also have Jet 082 and Duncan Draconian.
And that's only a Link to the Past randomizer. There's other things we got going on as well. Super Metroid randomizer. And if you scroll down, you can see Pokemon Crystal. We got Spectre Knight for Shovel Knight. Earthbound is not over yet, but they're pretty far in. Link's Awakening DX, Super Mario Brothers, Diddy Kong Racing. Tons of stuff happening on the channel. But today it's all about the Link to the Past rando, it seems. I like it.
Oh yeah, so much going on, and then that's just the main tournament. We still also have Randomizer Mania with the secondary tournament. So many races going on. So if you're enjoying Link to the Past Randomizer, rest assured we will give you more than you could ever ask for.
That's right. That could be our slogan for Speed Gaming. I don't know. We'll workshop that one a bit as well. I'm Mythical9. I've been joined by Shades. Thank you so much.
Not a problem doing it. As I always like to say, guys, rock on!
I can't beat it. That's it. That's it for our broadcast, ladies and gentlemen. Rock on.